Hey friends, it's the Monday meetup, and today's topic is panic. Panic is personal and painful and debilitating. And if you've had a panic attack, I know that you know. Vulnerable, insane, paralyzed, these are words that people use to describe panic. Um, There's several books that I've read. One by Brian Johnson, creator of Bethel Music, describes panic as an assault. And his book, When God Becomes Real, details what he went through and what he did to find relief. Hadassah Trudeau describes her full body panic as an earthquake in her book, Draw Near. In my case, I was sitting on a runway waiting for the plane to take off. I read my book and was looking forward to visiting my friend. And as the plane launched upward, it hit me unexpectedly, without warning. A smothering heaviness came upon my chest. As it rose toward my throat, heartbeats were pounding in my ears, and inside my voice was screaming, I can't breathe. But no words could escape my lips. I was paralyzed, like sipping through a straw. I tried to draw air into my lungs. My anxiety medicine was in my carry-on at my feet, just 10 inches away. I couldn't get my body to move, to bend, to reach it. So why did it happen? In that situation, I can't tell you. And that's what's so scary. I wasn't fearfully thinking. I didn't think I was anxious. And this is what's scary about panic and why people fear future panic attacks. And this fear is well documented by psychologists. So, to clarify, anxiety is not the same as panicking, and panicking is not the same as a panic attack, and panic attacks do not mean you have a panic disorder. So we know anxiety ranges from low to high, short term to long term, but it does not contain a feeling of fear. Panicking, though, is intense anxiety and momentary, but it is not an attack. And a panic attack, as described by these authors, is that sudden or intense onset of apprehension and fearfulness in the absence of real danger. I mean, you have heart palpitations, difficulty breathing, chest pain, discomfort, choking or smothering sensation, sweating and dizziness. You feel like you're going crazy or you're going to die. Now, of course, someone with reoccurring panic attacks might have a panic disorder diagnosis. The one thing about panic is that it cuts off control. So let's say your computer gets a malware virus. That virus sabotages your ability to control or access anything on your computer. And this is the way it is with panic. You try to command your body, but it won't listen. You try to restrain your thoughts, and you can't. A voice, your voice, is screaming in your head, and you just have to wait until all of it ebbs away. Now, I have triggered a panic attack because of uncontrolled thinking. Just thoughts fixated on finding a solution to a very burdensome situation. And each thought fed the anxiety growing within me. And those uncontrolled thoughts led me straight into an emotional storm. In that situation, um, it wasn't the first time that I had a near miss of moving into a full-blown panic attack. No, it was the third time. And so begrudgingly, I had to acknowledge I needed help beyond myself, you know, professional counseling. And I'm not talking about a situation that was 5 years ago. I'm talking about something that happened last June. And I remained in counseling for several months just so I could get free. The real question here is, why did I put off getting professional counseling? And it centers on the fact that I hated to admit that I couldn't control my thoughts. My stubbornness said, Terri, you can take care of this yourself. So that attitude, though, doesn't mesh with what I tell people. You hear me, you listen to my podcast, and you see me talk about anxiety. But, the bottom line is that we have to push aside the pride, the stubbornness, and the shame and admit that this is beyond ourselves. I chose to self-diagnose and fix it because I knew all about cognitive behavioral training, or CBT. And as a nurse, I was familiar with the technique. I had some CBT self-help books, and I thought, you know what? I'll just do it myself. Oh, yeah. And then I pushed myself to pray more, trust God more. And those things are necessary. But let's face it, God gifted individuals as counselors because they help you get things out of your head. And together, you can find more balanced thinking. God knows we can't always fix ourselves, and it's okay to ask for help. And I praise God for counseling because, I've no longer had any panic attacks related to that intense dynamic situation that was burdening me. And of course, during the counseling sessions, I made God a part of it. I journaled, I used the CBT tools. I asked God to help me focus my mind on what I know for certain. And I prayed for self-control and awareness of His presence in the situation I was worried about. And I take medication. So recently, a friend and I were talking about counseling, and she said, I've just read and heard that it's really a waste of time and money. They just take your money. And I know that it is hard to pick. So you may have to step out of your comfort zone and ask some trusted friends, a pastor, about who do they know any counselors? Maybe they've mentioned seeing a counselor themselves. So again, this means setting aside some pride, but keep in mind, this is about your mental and emotional health. So it's a good choice. It's a question you need to ask. And, you have to remember that counselors, they have personalities. You have a personality. You might not always mesh. Okay? That's fine. Just recognize it for what it is and then say, this isn't working. I need somebody that's more in tune with me, or just stop going and find somebody else. But don't give up. Like I said, your mental and emotional health are at stake, and you need to take care of yourself. Anxiety and panic affect those who love you and care about you. They see you suffering, and so a part of them suffers with you. And we need to do good by them. We need to help ourselves so that, we aren't creating anxiety for them. So if you relate to any of this or have questions, please let me know. I know social media can be a scary place to put your stuff out there. No, believe me. Um, I'm not, I knew I had to talk about this. Is this where I want to talk about it? It's not about me. It's about the one heart that needs to know that I understand what they're feeling mentally and emotionally, and that there are tools to help. And definitely prayer. And so if you would like to connect with me, please do that through direct message if you're watching this on my profile, or if you're viewing this on my page, you can go to the About section and find the Anchored Not Anxious email, and I will answer it and we can dialogue there. If you're not my friend, but you still want to talk, you'll probably have to send me a friend request on my profile, but just do it if you need help. All right. Until next time.